We are back. Another episode of Ultimate Blerds. It's your boy, Recruit Zero.
What's good, everybody? It's Uncle Charles.
And we're here to talk about today anime through a blurred lens.
All right, let's get it.
You know, we want to talk about some of our, iconic, favorite, and just present black characters in anime history.
All right, that's cool. We could do that. But like how we do on this show, we got to start from the past,
right,
go back. We always have to start, get a little history.
Yeah, like up to speed.
So where do we start?
I mean, for me, I will say, I know you have a different experience. You was out here getting bootleg imports on VHS.
I was at Suncoast.
I wasn't on that level when I was younger. Yeah. So for me, one of the first depictions, which was quite problematic, that I ever saw in anime was Mr. Popo.
I feel like Mr. Popo's everyone's like first black experience.
Yeah,
right?
And I was immediately like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yo, like, the funny thing about like black characters, I feel like, especially in the beginning, you had our rhythm and blues, but none of us, right? You could always see it by how someone dressed, by the music, even depictions of the city and the nightlife. Right. It had like a flair to it that could only come from us, right? However, like when we talk about characters, like the ones that stick out to us, right? Like Mr. Popo plays such a when I say pivotal role, I also mean like polarizing as well. Yeah. Because he was a mainstay. Right. Like
in the Dragon Ball
universe. Like we saw him a lot, like especially in those early days.
Yeah.
Like when you think about Goku and them running up top to get the sensu beans, you know what I'm saying? Like Popo was there. Yeah. Like Popo was always there.
And we like, every time we see it, it's some blackface.
It's black. And that was the other thing. Like, it was inherently blackface. And I know they say, like, hey, they had different
like the
interpretations, the cultural norms, and where he was pulling from.
Right.
It was, like, different, like, myths and gods or whatever. Yeah. But for us in America, it's like a black face with red lips and white eyes.
Only means one thing.
It only means one is man tan and sleeping.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was hard because it was like, and especially, I will say, I didn't watch like every episode of Dragon Ball, but I do remember that imagery. Yeah. Then as I got older, it was like, where did that come from? Like, were they really on some racist stuff, or is it just like conflicting cultural norms, that type of thing? So it was like, all right, I'm not going to go too hard on it, but just the imagery of it was wild to me.
It's even worse when you watch it like in the dubbed, right? Because like Popo all the time is like, oh, like it was like that. Like at least in the sub, I felt like he had like some words or something. He was just like, oh no, and then his mouth would make like that little red. His eyes would get. We'd be like,
super wide
eyes. And you'd be like,
what y'all on in Japan, bro? What y'all on? We trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
But like outside of like Popo, I remember like first seeing black characters that I was like, oh, wait a minute. Like this was Cowboy Bebop. So we're talking about like Toonami. Right. Talking about the late 1900s.
Right.
But like that's
don't
when I was like,
don't say it like that.
But that's when I started seeing black characters.
That's facts.
Of like their own design. Yeah. Right. And I think that
Cowboy Bebop did it really well.
They did.
You had, like you said before, that cultural influence. It wasn't just black characters. You got some of the music in there. You got the styles of how the characters are dressed. So you can see there was some care taken with making these characters in the universe.
And, as we start moving, so we're, starting the late 1900s and we start moving up, right? And when we think about the big three, you start seeing more characters in there. Like you think about Bleach.
Right. Bleach, you got Yoruichi.
Yeah.
For sure. You got I mean,
I think it was Tozen with the glasses.
For sure.
He rolled with Eisen in them.
Exactly. So that was major because you got the whole Japanese mythology underlay of that whole show, and then you got black people in there. So that was dope for sure.
And Naruto or Naruto, whichever one you want to say.
You had Killer Bee dropping bars and beating the brakes off of Sasuke.
Which is important because you're getting characters in the big three like shonen. Now, granted, you have, as we keep going, Afro Samurai
for sure.
Pivotal role, right? Like it's like a lead character, right? Done by a studio. And you have Sam Yell.
Exactly. Putting the voice on that thing, putting the sauce on
it. So though you start seeing more and more, right? But then we kind of get to today. And even in researching this topic, right, when you gave me the topic, the thing that kind of stuck out to me is like, while we are in the series, we're not in the series. Like,
a lot of them are supporting characters.
Majority of our black characters are supporting characters, and like they never get the shine or time the same way everybody else does. Like if you were to say, like, we had this conversation earlier, and we bring it here, right? It's like we talk about Killer Bee,
right?
Like, you know how many episodes it was before we got to Killer Bee? And then, like, Killer Bee had a very short shelf life.
Arc,
it was very short. And you're like, but wait, this is a whole, like, give me more of this character.
Right.
Like, I think of, like, Fire Force, right?
Because their village, even the village.
Everybody was
black in the village, but you saw it for a few episodes.
Yeah, Chief Black.
Yeah.
With the cornrows. You know what I'm saying? With the gold cord, like, the whole squad black. But they're like, where is their time to shine the same way? And I get it. The show ain't about him, right? It's not the Killer Bee show.
Exactly.
But I think there's room for like us to be leads, because
for sure.
Think about, like, we historically have had to grab characters and like bring, like, I hate the term inviting to the cookout because no passes to the cookout. No passes to the cookout. We will bring you a plate,
right?
But like, no, it's no free invites.
You're not at the crib.
Yeah, I don't believe in that invites to the cookout type thing, bro. No,
right.
But we've grabbed characters like Piccolo.
Yeah, exactly. Like, everybody will say Piccolo.
Everybody's like, Piccolo's black. Like, if we were to name our top like black characters, like, Piccolo reigns supreme above everybody.
If we went out and surveyed 100 people, Piccolo would undoubtedly win.
For like reasons that are hilarious to me. Like Piccolo was always late.
Yeah.
Like every movie he was late.
Right.
Like,
and he was a strict black dad.
Yeah, he was a strict black dad, bro. Like, he was not playing. Even a stepdad too.
Yeah.
Dad, like, he stepped in, stepdad, lean on me.
Right.
Like, raised Gohan. You know what I'm saying? Damn near raised Pan.
That's fact.
In the new one, he raised. Yeah. I'm like, he's out here raising people.
Right.
Got your son. Like, it's another conversation, but got your son in the swag. Like, you had the orange kami like gi on. Piccolo takes your son, and now he like sporting his swag. Like, he got the cape, he got the beanie on. You know what I'm saying? Like the turban.
He was the dad that stepped up.
Yeah, stepped up. Always pulling up, showing up late with the beans too.
Right.
Like, that was the thing. It was like showing up late to the party. He had like that gruff voice in the dub. You know what I'm saying? It was like a deeper octave, which we associate with us when they give us characters. Which is why, like, it's not an anime, but like we always have that question of like, was Lex Luthor black in Superman? Because he was like light skin, like he was brown.
That's
he was like
true.
Light skin, but he had like the deep voice and like the mannerisms of like.
There are some comic characters that we're like, Like Norman Osborn, he definitely had waves in a do-rag.
He did have waves. Like the red, like we talk about the waves, right? But those are things that like really, I think we could really step up.
Right? Oh, for sure. I definitely agree with that because, but I do want to highlight the fact that even though a lot of the characters that we mention and that stick out to us are side characters, they're so iconic still with that limited screen time that they still get mentioned. Like you got Canary from Hunter x Hunter. You got You know, Yasuke, well, he had that whole series recently. Yasuke. So we have that. I mean, you got all the other ones. You got Michiko from Michiko no Hatchin. You got Dutch from Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have their small parts, but they still contribute to the culture with that short amount of time. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd love to see what creators have when you have characters that have those strong characterizations leading the series.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where in anime like world land do you put the Boondocks?
I don't know.
Do you count it as a cartoon?
I count it as a cartoon. Okay. Because like it came from a comic strip, of course.
Okay.
And then when it got animated, it definitely, I mean, obviously it was animated by, I think, you know, a production house that specialized in the anime kind of aesthetic for sure. And you could tell that from the fight scenes, all of that. But it was still an American property and IP, you know what I'm saying?
So I looked it up, right? They said in the beginning, and this is from Google, they said that they had Madhouse, the Japanese studio, to do it, and then at some point that fell through, and it was a South Korean studio, Moy Animation, that handled it from like season 2 onwards. So like in technical terms,
it is an anime.
It is an anime.
With Madhouse,
it's an anime. Even with like the South Korean studio in that same vein of what they're doing,
because they copying the style from when Madhouse
and it's not an American cartoon the way I would look at like The Simpsons, Family Guy.
But that is a great question because I mean that's the intersection of the culture because it's like it's an American idea like the Boondocks. Everything the Boondocks talks about is American culture. Black American culture. But then you have the style is anime. So, I mean, for sure, that's a good question. I never thought about it as anime just because I knew about it from the comic strip. But I think it qualifies. I mean, if Madhouse did it.
I mean, if we count it as anime, you put Riley and Huey at the top, right?
Yeah.
Like, even with like all the like the karate that was in there, Uncle Ruckus getting down with exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like you had different characters.
That's facts.
That could go up there. Shout out to Fire Force.
Yeah. Fire Force.
I loved Ogun. Like that was a fire. Just even the name itself and like how his powers were working. Like you're starting to see more respect on the name.
Oh, for sure.
And on the culture, right? Like
I mean, that's the one thing we gotta understand. Like, no matter what goes on with racism, whatever, the world understands Black culture is cool.
Yeah.
So like,
but you also got to look at it like how, you know, Japan and other studios view that culture. Sometimes it's favorably. Sometimes, you know, honestly, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some ways in which they get down that, you know, because they are where they are, like the geographic region compared to America, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes some stuff gets lost in translation.
It definitely can be selective, and it's like, I mean, it's like the saying people say, you love Black culture, but you don't love Black people. Yeah. So, I mean, that is the other caveat. Like, yes, Black culture is cool everywhere. It's to be seen whether those same populations and people accept Black people along with the culture.
I think we are waiting for our Black Panther moment in anime when it comes to Black characters. I think we're waiting for that one series that like takes off, that like does that. That's why I asked about the Boondocks, because like that is the most influential for us when we talk about like anime and culture that so many people pull on. It hit across all of us, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they were also, and I really hone on this in this conversation, they were the mains.
Yeah.
They weren't the side characters.
It was we going over here for 3 episodes. It's like you with Riley and Huey, every time.
Everybody we've named thus far as like being like top tier black characters are so like it's like us sitting here being like, who's the best sixth man? Like who's the best off the bench player? Because ain't nobody like actually starting five. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care what the power level is. You know, I don't care how much we cosplay as them. Like I appreciate all that, but at the same time, I'm like, we don't have
the lead, the man.
Yeah, and while there have been some that have tried, some shows, right? Like nothing is cut through in the same way like the shows that we watch. Cut through. I mean, even in My Hero, you got, you know, some black characters. I gotta look his name up. It's like Rocklock or something. He has the locks. And like but even him, he's like jumps in, like he's just in scene. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those characters. It's not like the main class. And he's not like one of the teachers that they love, right? Like,
that's true.
He's just a hero who's saving the day. And we have to. I think there's also like when it comes to like the video game conversation, like I think there's a fear in putting us at the forefront.
Oh yeah, for sure. You saw how the whole backlash with when they announced the new Assassin's Creed, people went crazy because they're including Yasuke in there. And it's like, this was a historical person and people were mad about it. So if you start just inventing characters, who knows what'll happen. But I mean, that's what it's going to take. Somebody with the studios, with the animation houses, with the creators in general, taking a chance and being like, I'm gonna create this character and make them so dope that you can't deny it regardless of the skin color of the character.
I'm gonna get a little technical. We'll go back to some technicalities, right? Because I'm gonna ask you a question like, do you think it would take just us making something? Maybe it's here in the States, but it's similar to the things we watch. Would that count, or would you be like, because it hasn't come from?
I mean, that's the thing. So even with the inclusion of black culture in anime and all that type of stuff, I still recognize that's not our culture as a source. They're taking influence from us and adding it to the stories they want to tell, which is 100% valid. So I don't really be like, oh, why aren't you making like a black-led anime, da-da-da-da, because then you might end up with a Mr. Popo. Because like you're not familiar with that culture to be talking about it to that depth. Yeah. So it would take like a really intensive, well-researched, like a creator that really immersed themselves in the culture to do that from the Japanese side. Otherwise, it would have to be an American creator doing like Aaron McGruder did and like, hey, this is my IP and I want it in that anime style. Yeah. But the inspiration, the substance of the characters is coming from my knowledge as a black person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What would your like ideal? If you could make your own like
property.
Well, no, I don't want to go that far, right? Like, let's just say like your black character. Yeah. Like, what is your ideal like black?
I mean, for character? Me, like, so for my anime journey, I was in Dragon Ball a little bit, whatever, but I didn't really get into it till Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo.
So a little bit more grown.
Yeah, so I really would want like a sci-fi character, a black sci-fi character, because I mean, to me, Afrofuturism is super untapped. So if you could have that with the anime aesthetic and bring us some dope characters that's doing something completely new, I feel like that would cross so many boundaries that it would have no choice but to be dope.
I feel like I started thinking about like Cyborg and District 9. It's like somewhere between those two, right? Yeah. Like Ghost in the Shell, like kind of like that place. Yeah. It's like that's one thing like to your point, we've never seen like what our worlds would look like with technology.
That's true. What is our take? A lot of that.
No, like
we got Wakanda, but that's
and that touched on it just so. Right. We never really. I think my one gripe about Black Panther was like we never got to see the world outside of the kingdom. Like we saw a market, but we never got to like see the whole. Like when you think of like cyberpunk, like we think like Lilu Dallas Multipass, right? Like
exactly.
It's tall cities. Exactly. It's a bunch of rain. It's a bunch of neon. It's dirty as hell. Yeah. You know, the rich people live at the top. You know, everybody else is on the floor. You know, doing a bunch of like crazy stuff, like everything from Blade Runner. You know, any of those things. I feel like with Black people and technology, we would be like more like even among the distribution of like wealth and things. Like we would all be prosperous. It's not like the evil corporations. Like I feel like you get Black people technology, it's like no telling where we could go and where our villains could go. Because like imagine like your villains having more power. I think that's the thing. To your point, I would want villains and heroes to have more abilities and like the ability to have power. Let me say it like that. Instead of just being like, here's some side stuff we was thinking about and we just like let you have it.
No, that's true. Seeing how we would expand in that, and again, like Wakanda's dope, but also seeing different versions of just the future for Black people. Because it's like Wakanda's dope, but that's like a utopian kind of vision. Yeah. Seeing what the future's like where it maybe it's techno-capitalist, whatever. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you ever watched it, Altered Carbon. Yeah. So that had that kind of...
Had your boy Falcon in there.
Right. It had my man Falcon in there. So that was dope. He killed it. That was dope. And it was like, I wish we had seen more because you had the whole kind of idea, backstory of, oh, this is a shell. And this is a previous personality and those type of things and how people react to him being in a Black body and that type of stuff. So I for sure think that techno-futurism, sci-fi kind of slant would be perfect for like a Black-led anime series.
I think even in martial arts, right? Like there are African traditions, martial arts that you could get into.
That we never see.
Yeah, there are different type of powers. You know, we hear of like the medicine woman, the medicine man, the shaman, you know, these different types of things. We never tap into that.
That's true.
Like, what would mystical powers be for Black people? Like, if we could think of anything, it ain't gotta be no dragon. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it ain't gotta be a panther. It could be a bear. It could be, you know, it could be or things we've never even thought of. Right?
There's a lot out there to mine and like combine to really get something unique and interesting for sure.
Yeah, I would have a duo. I know I kind of cheated saying like, what would my one person? But I'd have a duo. Like, I always feel like it's a thing of having a clique. Yeah. It's a thing of being a duo. Like black people, we don't do stuff dolo. Like, I mean, we will,
you
but
have
like,
the squad.
Yeah, you always have a squad. It's like, I have to have a squad. Right. Like, I feel like a man and a woman main always go ham, right? Yeah. And it's just like that back and forth. You know what I'm saying? True. Is always, because I also think about it like this. Our characters would be designed in some stuff we would want to cosplay as.
Oh, fact. If you got a Black-led series, you gotta have the drip on. Like, they can't be out there looking corny.
Because you'll get clowned for it in the show, right?
Immediately. Like, who's this guy?
Let's keep it a buck. If you, like, even if you Batman, you know what I'm saying? Like, you rode in the hood with that. You rode in the neighborhood, we'd be like, what is that? Like, why are you wearing that? Like, I'm about to stop crime.
Bruce, what are those?
Yeah, like, what crime are you stopping? You know what I'm saying? Like, we... Static Shock. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was like someone who was like, yeah, I still gotta have that on.
Right.
Like, I still gotta...
Ooh.
Yeah, like I gotta, this is the neighborhood I'm saving.
Right.
Like, I don't feel no way like I gotta have my hair out. Like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I can't have the locks like patted down and the helmet. Like, that don't make no sense. So, yeah, I think of having a group would be fire. I think there's also just... There's room for an all-Black universe. That's something else that kind of shifting away from characters a little bit to kind of talking about like what I like to see. Like, I like to see a world with just us.
Nah, that's true. I mean, there's
variations
space for that.
of us and other people.
Right. There's definitely space for that. I mean, you got whole universes of aliens, orcs, techno zombies, and then it'd be like, it's just like when you have fantasy series and it'd be 3 different flavors of white people. Like, y'all could come up with elves and orcs, but you couldn't imagine black people with magic? That's crazy.
They were like, it was, I think it was like Final Fantasy 16 that just came out, and they were like, yo, where the black people at? And they were like, we made this world. Like, I would love for something to blow up, and like the criticism is like, where the black, because I would, if it was me, right?
Yeah.
It was me. And they were like, Uncle Charles, you made this show. Where are all the white people? And my response would be, for years you told us. For years, the criticism was, if you didn't like it, just make your own.
Yeah.
So I made my own for us.
And now you're mad.
And in this universe...
it's us.
Right? What happened was, in this themed world, it was just us.
Right.
Like, our melanin, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, attracted the sun. We live through whatever I come up with. It's like, yeah, so it's us.
Right.
Because I think there is something in having a universe where we get to see all the things that are us in a conversation about us that is strictly for us, that we understand that someone else has to ask to join in.
That's
like
true.
In anime, it's always like we have to join in on the fun,
and then still get hated on,
and still get hated. He wasn't black. It's like it's an imaginary character.
It's a costume.
It's a costume. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to put on, like, if I, let's just say one day I had like chest and abs. I decided to work out all year, right? And I was like, yo, it's on. And I came through with the Goku with the tear off, like the already beat up Goku outfit. He's not,
He wasn't black.
And I have enough hair to like gel my stuff.
And get the spice.
Yeah, and get the spice, right? It's like, he wasn't like this. It's like, but why? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like, why you hating?
Yeah. Like, I know somebody say, I know the whole they go low, we go high. But I'm like, nah, like, I want us to have a thing that's like, no, this is our world.
Right.
This
it's like, you mad that I'm doing this cosplay, but like, a Kamehameha ain't real either, dog.
Nah,
so why you mad?
We can all shoot it. Like,
exactly.
Like what
we
you
not really
for?
Throwing spirit bombs.
Yeah. Man, in cosplay, you always, like, I would see so many people post and like under it's like, hey, last time I wore this to a con, it was like, I got so much hate, and people were challenging me, and it's like, nah, man, if we had our own universe,
right, we just do it ourselves.
Yeah, like,
that's facts.
I would love a Star Wars type universe.
Yeah, and then I think that to go into it is the way forward for the future of like black characters seeing more representation. Like we gonna have to do some of it ourselves and have people from the culture create those worlds, because that's always like the dilemma of representation. If we wait for other people to do it, they ain't always gonna do it right. Yeah. And then it's like we gonna have an issue. So it's like if we do it ourselves, we get it right and blow it up. That gives you cosplay, and that'll just keep opening the market. Like you see with Megan Thee Stallion's last run, her getting love from a lot of the anime creators, stuff like that. Yeah. It's like us getting into it and really putting our stamp on it, I think, is what'll grow the market, get us more representation, and let us see more of those stories that we want to see.
So for all my storytellers out there, as we wrap it up, create the universe and let us all just have a part in it, and let us create things, and let's just have some cohesion.
Exactly. Because we all want to see dope cosplays, dope series, and have something to read that's about us.
Yeah.
So
they can't keep being Piccolo carrying.
Exactly. It can't only be Piccolo. Like, we need more, and we need main characters. Right. So, I mean, if you out there with a dope series or something and we missed it, hit us with a comment. Let us see it, because we all about supporting dope new things that's representing us. So it's been your boy Recruit Zero.
It's your boy Uncle Charles.
And we are out, and we'll see you on the next one.
Oh.